welcome to part 2 of my wig construction video. We are going to jump right into it. I'm starting off with a bleach bath, and I'm using Clairol BW2 bleaching powder and Salon 40 volume developer cream to do so. I only used 4 scoops to start off, and then I kind of eyed the developer. I didn't use any specific measurements. I just added however much need be. I ended up needing more, so I went back and added more. I believe I added 4 more scoops, and then again I added the amount of developer that I needed. It really depends on how long the wig is that you're bleaching, but mine is 20 inches, so once I added those extra 4 scoops, it was enough. But I'm just going to go and add this to the water and then mix it all together till the bleach is no longer sitting on top of the water. I'm going to mix this really well. I don't want any spots of water seeping through where I see any spots of water. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this and then start dipping in the wig. I start with my ends and then I saturate the entire wig. Then finger comb through it. Make sure that all the strands are coated. I start with the frontal because I want the knots to be coated as well. You know, I don't want my knots to be missed whatsoever. Then I go in with a paddle brush and just brush the hair through to make sure that it's really coated. So just using some regular Reynolds wrap, I'm going to put this on top of it so that it can process faster. And I also did leave it under my ring light, so I don't know if that made a difference, but hey. So I just put this on top and then I let it sit for an hour. And this is what the hair was looking like after an hour. It came out to this pretty honey blonde. It was perfect because I didn't need it too light, so it was amazing. And I just washed it out with some whole blend shampoo and let it sit and dry overnight. This is what it looked like after. I love this color. I was going to leave it this way, but I was like, you know what? Let's spice this John up. Let's add a little bit of color to it. Let's do a little something, you know? So to start off, I'm going to part a section in the front going from ear to ear because I'm going to dye this one solid color. Y'all are going to see what I mean because in the back, I guess you could say they're like highlights. So I'm going to do this section a solid color and we're just going to clip that and pin it to the side. I decided to go 2 rows at a time, meaning like 2 tracks at a time because I was being lazy. Don't judge me. And then I went ahead and did this method called weaving. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you look at what I'm doing, it's easier to understand rather than me explain it verbally. But if I can explain it, I would say that you're basically going over the hair, picking up some hair, then over the hair and picking up some hair all the way across. It's pretty simple. But I'm going to do this all the way across until I can see the other side and then pin up the top half of that section. For colors, I'm going to use Adore, Rich Amber, and Magenta. Then Kiss, Tintnation, Cherry Bomb, and Red Velvet. And this is a brand I never tried. It's something Strawberry Leopard. And then this Revlon Vibrant Red. I started off by mixing in the Vibrant Red in the bottle first, but I'm not going to keep it in the bottle. I actually ended up pouring it in the bowl because I am going to mix it with the Rich Amber and a little bit of the Magenta. So I put it in the bowl and then went in with the Rich Amber. I couldn't tell y'all how much I put in there, honestly. You know, I didn't know what color was going to come out. But anyways, then I went on to use the Red Velvet to add to that mixture and a tiny drop of this Magenta. I didn't want it to be purple. But moving on to the other side, I'm going to start with the Tintnation Cherry Bomb, a lot of that, because that's going to be like my base color. So I'm going to use a lot of that. Then I went in with the Strawberry Leopard. It's in the shade Fire. It's like this really bright red, and that's what I wanted to use for my highlights. And then I added some of this Garnier Fructis Triple Nutrition conditioner so that it can condition while I am coloring the hair. On the bottom half, I'm going to start with the darker red that I have. This is kind of like what I wanted the entire wig to be and then have the brighter red highlights within it. So this is like the main color that I'm using for, I guess, the base of the hair, you could say. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this to the hair, making sure that every strand is coated and just running my fingers up and down the hair. And again, I forgot to put a damn bag on this head. But my sister had a really great idea to like do a tie-dye thing. And I was like, that's pretty cute. So maybe I'll just never put a bag on it. And whatever colors I dye wigs, that's the color that'll be on the head, you know? So I'm just applying it. You're going to see later in the video, I didn't catch some of the roots, but it's okay because nobody's going to see it. It's in the back. So I didn't really mind, but this is some foil I got from Sally Beauty. It came in a box of 200 for, I think, like $6. So I'm going to use this to separate the colors. I didn't do it for the first one, but it's a lot easier if you fold the top of the foil. You guys are going to see what I mean. But then I just folded the foil in half, then folded the two sides, and shaboom, we Gucci. So I just went and wet a towel so that I could wipe my hands when I'm switching through the colors. That way they don't mix. I learned this trick from, I think, a video on Instagram. You gotta love reels, right? But anyways, moving on to the next section. I folded it this time. You guys see how the top of the foil is folded. I went ahead and folded it and then placed the foil under the hair and T-pinned it so it can stay in place. And then I applied the brighter red, simple, same exact way I did it before. Just apply it to the hair and then run my fingers up and down the hair. Get them ends because, honey, we don't want to miss no strands of hair. So just make sure all the strands are saturated. And the roots, you guys see they're still brown. The part that I tried to catch with the darker brush. So I went back in and tried to paint it and then said, you know what, fuck this. And went over it with the brighter red. So I didn't really care at that point. You know, I was like, hey, it's the roots. No one's going to see it. But I'm going to do the exact same thing with the foil. I'm going to tuck the hair, then fold the foil, and fold the two sides. So right here, you guys just see me separating the frontal from the tracks because when I was parting it, I was like, why is this section so damn long? So I decided to do the frontal separately from the tracks. So I went ahead, separated that, and then moved on to do the weaving method again on the next section. If you guys can see here again, I'm literally just going over the hair, picking up some hair, going back over the hair, picking up some hair, and then once I reach the middle, I just pick up from where I left off. Whether I dropped some hair or picked up some hair, it'll depend. But I just did that all the way across and then put the foil under the hair. I started to notice at some point, you know, I think it was around this, oh, excuse me, child. I think it was around this time that I was like, why am I putting foil on every single row? Like, I can literally just put foil on the dark hair and then leave the lighter ones out. So that's what I started doing. You guys are going to see me stop putting foil on the lighter parts at some point. But then I just took a smaller brush to try and reach in those roots again. But like I said, I stopped caring at some point and I said, if the colors touch, they touch. Okay, it is not a problem. But I'm just going to go ahead and continue to do this all the way across until I get to the other side. Okay, so y'all are going to start to notice that the hair actually looks pink rather than red. And I was getting a little scared when I was doing this because I was like, if this shit come out pink, I am going to be upset. Do you understand me? I worked so hard to mix those colors to not know what color was going to come out to be. But I wanted any color that was close to red, just not pink. But I swear to y'all, it does come out red. But moving on, when I got to the middle of the head where the track started to go straight across, I didn't do the weaving method. I actually ended up dyeing these a solid color. I just did the dark, then the light, then the dark, then the light, and so on. I was like, I don't really know why I did it. Honestly, I'm not a professional hair color or dyer or colorist. So this method is not a professional method. I was just trying tricks out and just seeing what was gonna happen. So this is what I did. I did light to dark to light to dark. So now onto the frontal. I'm just parting it down the middle so I can do one side at a time. And again, I was just trying tricks out. So this time I didn't do the weaving method or dye it a solid color. What I did was dye the roots, the darker red. And then I went in the middle and added the lighter red. Mixed that joint up and then added the darker red to the bottom. So it could have like this cute little gradient effect or whatever. And it did. It gave like this nice ombre effect in the front of the hair. So it worked out in my favor, me playing around with colors. But here you see I added the lighter color and then I just used my fingers to blend them together to create that ombre effect that everybody be wondering, how'd you get that? Some people could do it with watercoloring. I have yet to figure it out. Kudos to you if you know how to do it, for real. But I'm just going to do this all the way across the frontal, but I'm not touching that front section because like I said, I am going to dye that a solid color. I'm going to dye it the lighter red. So I'm just going to leave that alone for now and just do the dark and then light and then dark again. So here I'm just parting a section from the back of the frontal to cover the tracks that I'm going to use this part of the hair to cover the tracks when I'm styling it. But I just used it for now to part over the back and dye it the same exact way I did with the rest of the frontal, doing the dark roots, then the lighter red in the middle, and then the darker tips at the end. And I'm just going to do this in the entire back section that I parted from the frontal. I went all the way across so that when I'm dyeing the rest of the frontal, it'll be a lot easier. It won't be such big sections and so much hair so wide across, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and finish dyeing the rest of the frontal the same exact way I've been doing it. Doing the two colors, the three sections. That's what I meant. And then we're going to come back and dye the front. So now moving on to the section that I took out earlier, I'm going to use this slanted brush that I bought from Sally's to really be precise and get as close as possible to where the line meets. So I picked up a little bit of product at a time so that I could get closer to the roots, because if I was to use a bigger brush, it'd have been seeping all the way through the roots and then I would have had to go back and bleach the knots. So when you're dyeing a wig, just note to use a smaller brush to get into those sections. So to wash that out, I'm going to use this Garnier Fructis Color Shield shampoo. And I did wash this twice, but once with this and once with a Pantene Color Shield shampoo. And then I used the same Garnier Fructis Triple Nutrition conditioner that I mixed in with the dyes earlier, just to make sure everything was nice and soft. I let it sit in there for like 5 minutes and then I rinsed it out with cold water. This is what the hair was looking like. You guys can't really see the color, but you guys will see it as I start to style it. But moving on, I took a razor comb just to trim the ends because they were a little dry. And we don't have no dry hands over here, mommy. No. So I went ahead and trimmed those off. Not too much though, because I didn't want to make the wig shorter. I just wanted to get rid of the dry ends. But then I did like this thing y'all see me doing right here. I turn the razor comb at like an angle and then I just quickly comb over the ends. That way the ends aren't blunt. And then taking some shears. You guys have mercy on me. I am not a professional barber. I don't know how to cut hair. I just go off of what I see on YouTube. I'm just going to go ahead and cut some pretend layers in there when really I'm just trimming off a little bit of hair. But it worked out in the end. Still came out nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim those off and then move on to the hairline. So I'm spraying the hairline with water first so that it's easier when I tweeze it, because when it's dry, those hairs are not coming out. They're not going anywhere. But I'm going to start by parting a little section off in the front and pull it away from the back of the frontal. And then lightly tweeze the hair that's behind the section that I parted out. When you're doing this, be sure that you're not taking out big chunks of hair. It looks like I'm pulling it really hard, and it looks like every time I'm moving my hand back, I'm pulling hair out. But I'm not, I promise. Make sure that you're not over tweezing, because I've done that before, and it'll be a big gap, or it'll be a hole behind the hairline. So just be careful when you're doing that. Then we're going to take that section that we parted in the front and just flip it over to now tweeze the front of the hairline. And I'll do a more detailed tweezing tutorial, but for the sake of this video, I did want to get through it quickly because I didn't want it to be too long. But this is how it ended up looking after I was done tweezing it to my liking. I put on the bag so y'all could see it because y'all couldn't see. Moving on to curls, I'm going to use this Isoplus 24-hour holding spray and my Got2b spray as well. And then this 1-inch curling wand from Absolute Heat. Alright, this time I wasn't being lazy. I did do them one track at a time. For the first row, I did the undercurl so the curls can go away from my face. But I did not do the undercurl throughout the entire wig. Y'all are going to see what I mean. But after I curl it on the wand, I just hold it in my hand for a little bit, let it cool down, and then spray with some Got2b and pin it up. I'm just going to finish this row and then come back and let you guys know what I mean when I say I don't go through the entire wig. So for the next row, I started off the sides doing the undercurl because I did want every curl that was on the side of my hair to go away from my face. So I started off the sides with the undercurl, and then in the middle section, I just did an overcurl. That way, because I am going to comb these out, so that way when I comb them out, the curls won't be stuck together. It'll be a nice, wave throughout the entire wig. So I did an overcurl. Then the next row I did an undercurl, then the next row I did an overcurl, and so forth. So I'm just going to let you guys watch me curl up until I get to the top of the head, and then I'll be back. So now moving on to where the tracks start going straight across in the middle of the head. I first did the track that y'all see me doing right here. I did an undercurl first, and then when I got to the next row, I split the hair in half and did an overcurl on one side and then an undercurl on the other side. This way I can get the maximum curl, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, I don't want the curls stuck together. So I just did this alternating sides as I went up. If I stopped on one side and I did the overcurl on that side, the next row I would do the undercurl on the side that has the overcurl, if that makes sense. It's easier to see it being done than hear it be explained, so you guys can see what I'm doing here. And then once I'm at the top of the head, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did when I was coloring the hair. I'm just going to take a small section and pull it to the back and do an undercurl so I can cover the tracks where it meets up with the frontal. And the reason I didn't do an overcurl at the top of the head was because if I did, it would not lay flat, like it would not sit down. So I went ahead and did the undercurls, and now we're finished with the back of the hair. So moving on to the front of the hair, I use this Edge Booster pomade stick to just tame the flyaways before I go in with my hot comb, and made a deep side part. Nothing too serious, like I wasn't too worried about it anymore at this point. I was ready to go to bed. So I just made a part on the side of the head and then added more of that Edge Booster before I went in with my hot comb. I don't use like the entire hot comb. You'll see that I'm brushing through it lightly, and I'm technically using the back of the hot comb to lay it down. I don't want to burn the hair or make it any more dry than it already is. So I'm just using the back of the hot comb to just lay those flyaways down and give a nice swoop look in the front. And as you guys can see here, I'm holding the hair in place with my hand. As I hot comb it, I'm just holding the hair so that it stays molded in that little swoop that I have going on. But moving back to the sides of the frontal, I'm going to take big sections because I did want bigger curls in the front. So I'm going to take medium to big sections and then do the under curl all the way through to the other side until I reach the part that I created. And then when I get to the other side, I'm going to do the exact same thing and under curl for the remaining section of hair. So while I let the curls sit, I'm going to let them sit for about an hour. I'm going to use this Shine and Jam setting mousse and then put some on my comb just to tame any flyaways that my hot comb might not have caught. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take these curls out. While I'm taking the curl out, I just twist it around my finger depending on which way the curl is going. So if it's over curled, I go towards the right, and if it's under curled, I go towards the left. Alright, after I've taken out the curls, I just put a little bit of BioSilk Silk Therapy with coconut oil. I used it in my wash and set video, but I just took a little bit of that and rubbed it all over my hands and then a little bit on my comb and combed those curls out because I was going for a more waved look as opposed to the tighter curls that you guys see. So I just took a wide tooth comb and combed those curls out until I was satisfied. And then finally, to finish it off, I'm going to use this Cream of Nature Argan Oil Sheen Spray just to add some shine to it so that the ends aren't brittle and dry. And this is how it came out. The style came out exactly how I wanted it. The color, I didn't even know what color was going to come out, but I'm in love with it. So yes, this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.